Okay, folks, today we're looking at parallel and perpendicular lines for pre-calculus. All right, what do you guys remember from last year? Yeah, actually, 2 years ago from your geometry days. All right, parallel lines have equal slopes. Perpendicular lines, there's your symbol for perpendicular. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. Okay. All right, so we're going to be writing equations of lines. I am all in our examples here, I'm always going to use point slope form. So remember, this is point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Okay? And then these are the spots that we fill in. M is the slope, x1 is the point, and y1 is the point on the line. Okay? So m is the slope, and x1 comma y1 is the random point on the line. All right, number one, it says write the equation of the line in general form for the line that is parallel to 5x plus 2y minus 3 equals 0 and passing through the point -8, -4. All right, so first of all, it says in general form. I don't care that it says in general form. Every single one of these problems says put things in general form. What you have to remember is we always use this point slope form, and then once we're in point slope form, there's a little bit of algebra to put it in general form. Okay? All right. Now, so parallel, remember, equal slope. So parallel, we need equal slope. Well, here's your general form. Remember, when we are in general form, this is what I wanted you guys to do in your homework. I wanted you to be able to look at that equation and say, oh, the slope is. That's right. In general form, the slope is -a over b. So when we're in this formatting, equals 0, our slope is -a over b. Well, here's your a, here's your b. So our slope here is -5 over 2. All right, we got the hard part. We have the slope, the point's right here. Fill in your blanks. So y minus blank equals the slope, parentheses, x minus blank. There we go. We got those 3 spots to fill in, and we'll have the hard part done. Well, the slope goes right here. -5 over 2. And then our point is -8, -4. So the -4 is the y. So double -4, so plus 4. And then double negative, we have 8, -8, so double negative because it's plus 8. So right now, here's the equation. That's the equation of the line, but it's in point slope form. I need this in general form. So we just have to do a little bit of algebra to clean this up. Now, we could just distribute the -5 over 2 to the x and to the 8, and then we just subtract 4 and subtract the y, then it's equal to 0. That's all we have, just make this thing equal to 0. Okay, combining all the likes as we go along. I really don't want to deal with fractions, even though I know if I multiply -5 over 2 times 8, it's not a fraction. I'm going to do my cross multiply bit that I showed you guys. Okay, I'm going to do my 2 cross multiply this way, and I'm going to distribute the -5. Okay. Or am I going to do that? I'll squeeze it under here. So I'm going to cross multiply with the 2. So that gives me a 2y plus 8 equals, now I'm going to distribute the negative 5. Notice when I write my fractions, I put the negative at the top. All right, I don't know, I always seem to put my negative at the top. If your negative is not at the top, make it easy for yourself. Just put the negative at the top. All right, so now I'm going to distribute the negative 5, so negative 5x minus 40. All right, now all I have to do is just make this thing say equal to 0. I kind of keep my x's positive if I can. So I'm going to add the 5, add the 40. So when I add the 5, add the 40, I have a 5x plus 2y plus 48 equals 0. And here we are, general form. So we just do number 1. That easy. All right, there's another one. Let's do another one. So write the equation, general form. So essentially the exact same question and parallel to. And here we are, back in general form. Now notice, be careful with this general form. They tend to, you'll see this in books. Sometimes you'll see me do this. Make sure, notice this general form, it's backwards. The reason why it's backwards is because the x was negative. Okay? The reason why I was backwards, the x is negative. So you just got to be careful. Here's your b, here is your a. And again, our slope is negative a over b. So I have a double negative over 4. So I have 3 over 4 for the slope. Remember, parallel equals slope. And I just got to fill in my blanks. Y minus blank equals blank, parentheses, x minus blank. So here's your slope. Then I have a x is a negative 12, so double negative, so plus 12, and then put the 5 right here. Okay. Again, I'm going to avoid fractions. Even though I know if I distribute the 3/4, it'll clean up the 12, not a problem. I'm going to do my cross multiply bit because I got to put things in general form. If I did not say general form, if I just said write the equation of the line and I didn't say general form, we're done. Okay, but because I'm using specifically the words general form, we have to clean this up. I want it equal to 0. So I'm going to do my cross multiply bit again. I'm going to do the 4 times cross multiply with the 4, distribute the 3. That easy. I'll do the work over here. So I have 4y minus 20 equals 3x plus 36. Okay. I'm going to keep my x's positive. So 3x is positive. It's on the right-hand side. I'm going to subtract the 4y, add the 20. So I have 0 equals 3x minus 4y, adding the 20, plus 56. There we go, general form. So nice and easy. All right. Write the equation of line in general form for the line that is perpendicular. Okay, here's a new one. Perpendicular. What do we know about perpendicular lines? All right, perpendicular. Negative reciprocal slopes. Negative reciprocal. Slopes. All right. Nice and easy. What's your current slope on the line? That's right. You should be able to say, oh, negative a over b, negative 5 over 2. Your slope, negative a over b. So our slope right now is negative 5 over 2. However, I need perpendicular. That's right, we need negative reciprocals. So here's our negative 5 over 2, the normal slope. We need perpendicular. So I'm going to change this to perpendicular. So that becomes a negative reciprocal. So we flip it and we negate it. It already is a negative, so the slope becomes 2/5. So this is the slope that we're using. The perpendicular is 2/5. All right, passes through point 23. 10(3). There we go. Let's just start filling things in. Y minus blank equals blank, parentheses, x minus blank. Fill in the blanks. Here's your slope. 2/5. X is 10. Y is 3. Okay? I'm going to do my cross multiply and distribute. So 5 times this side, distribute the 2. So I have 5y minus 15 equals 2x minus 20. Again, I'm going to keep the x's positive, so I'm going to bring all this to the right. I just like to keep the x's positive. It doesn't matter which side you put it on. Okay? As long as it says equals 0, we're fine. So I'm going to subtract the 5, add the 15. So I have 2x minus the 5y, adding 15 gives us a negative 5 equals 0. Okay, if you would have put the 2x and the negative 20 on the other side, on the left side, then this would have been a negative, this would have been positive, this would have been positive. That's all our signs should have been opposites of each other. No big deal. It's the same equation, just on the other side of the equal sign. All right, number 4. Pretty straightforward. Here we go. Here's another perpendicular. Same question. General form, perpendicular. That's right. I wrote this backwards. So remember, this is your A. This is your B. So your slope, negative a over b. So we have a double negative 3 over 4. I'm going to slide this up a little bit. And we want perpendicular, so that's your negative reciprocal slopes. That's right. So perpendicular means I have to take this, flip, and negate. So negative 4/3. Notice I put the negative at the top. Doesn't matter, just put it somewhere. All right, I'm going to start filling in our blanks. So I have y minus blank equals blank, parentheses, x minus blank. So the slope is negative 4/3. Your x is a negative 12, so double negative, and here's our 5. So I'm going to distribute, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to cross multiply with the 3, distribute the negative 4. So 3y minus 15 equals negative 4x minus 48. I'm going to put everything to the left. So I'll add the 4x and then add the 48. What is that when I add 48 to both sides? 33. So plus 33 equals 0. And we're done. That easy. Okay. Alrighty. Last question 5. We're giving these systems of equations. Okay? We have to find the value of m so that the lines are going to be parallel and the lines are going to be perpendicular. Okay? Now, parallel. Well, what do we have to know? Parallel, the slopes have to be equal. Perpendicular, negative reciprocal slopes. So here, parallel is equal slopes. Perpendicular, negative reciprocal. All right, I'm going to squeeze it in right here, and I'll squeeze it in right here. All right, so what is the slope of the top line? The top equation, the slope at the top, again, you got to remember your negative a over b. So the slope for the top is negative 3 over a negative 5. So I'll write that out right here. Negative 3 over negative 5. So we have the slope at the top is 3 over 5. Okay? Now the slope at the bottom, negative a over b, is negative 4 over m. And now what do we know about these two slopes? All right, here, let me do this. So the slope up here is 3/5 for the slope. There. All right, so the slope up here is 3/5. This slope was negative 4 over m. Okay? Parallel lines, the slopes have to be equal. So 3/5 has to equal a negative 4 over m. All right, just solve for m now. All we got to do is cross multiply. Okay, so 3m equals a negative 20. I divide m equals a negative 20 over 3. No one cares that m is a fraction. But that's our value of m. So when we have parallel and we're looking for the m, we can just set the slopes equal to each other, cross multiply. All right. Perpendicular is going to be a little different. We know there are two slopes. We have one slope that's 3/5, and we have another slope that is a negative 4 over m. Okay. One thing that we could do is literally flip one of these and then set them equal to each other. Okay? So we could do that. There's two ways of solving this. Okay? The long way is to say to yourself, okay, right now they're equal, but negative reciprocal means one of these has to be flipped. So you could flip one of these. So let's say we flip this one. So it's equals m over 4. And now we can cross multiply and do our magic. Okay? So we would have 5m equals 15. Oh, what am I doing? 5m equals 12. So then m would equal 12/5. That's one way of doing it. Okay? Just literally take one of your fractions and flip it and then set them equal. Okay? The other way is to simply multiply these two together and set it equal to negative 1. Because if you multiply negative reciprocals together, they should equal negative 1. So if I do 3/5 times a negative 4 over m, that will equal negative 1. I'll show you why in just a second, okay? So this is the preferred method. This is the method I would like you to use. I think it's a little bit easier. So all I got to do is just multiply. So here I have my negative 12 over 5m equals negative 1. And then literally you can cross multiply and then divide. So we have negative 12 equals negative 5m. So m equals 12 fifths. So we have the same answer. We have the same answer. I'm just showing you that I can multiply these two together for perpendicular and set it equal to negative 1. Well, all right, let me show you why I can do that. Let me show you why I can do that. Let's look at some fractions. 2/3 and the negative reciprocal. What's the negative reciprocal of 2/3? That's right, negative 3 over 2. All right, let's get another fraction. Negative 2. What's the negative reciprocal of negative 2? That's right, 1/2. Okay. Let's do another one. Negative 1 over 7. What's the negative reciprocal of negative 1 over 7? That's right, 7 over 1. Now, what happens when you multiply these together? Multiply, multiply, multiply. What happens when you multiply these together? Hopefully you'll say negative 1. Okay. Negative 6 over 6, or cancel, 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 negative 1. So you can have negative 6 over 6, negative 1. Negative 2 times 1/2. That's right, negative 1. Negative 1 over 7 times 7. That's right, negative 1. So when you multiply a slope, I'm going to use m for slope, and its negative reciprocal, it should equal negative 1. Okay. So in other words, if m1 for slope times m2 for slope equals negative 1, then m1 and m2 are negative reciprocals. So m1 is slope 1, and m2 is slope 2. Slope 1 and slope 2. So if you multiply slope 1 and slope 2 and you get negative 1, then the two slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. And if they're negative reciprocals, lines are perpendicular. Okay? All right. Let you look at that for a second. Pull this away. So if they're parallel, set the slopes equal, cross multiply. If it's perpendicular, take those exact same fractions that you had. Take those exact same fractions that you had, your 3/5 and your negative 4 over m, multiply them together, set it in equal to negative 1, and then solve, and we get 12/5. Okay? Might be easier, or else you can do your flip and then set them equal to each other. Flip and negate, then set them equal. You get the same answer. I think this way right here is a little bit easier to do. Okay. Ooh, make sure you guys can see that. Alrighty, everybody. Have a good day.